Fantastic. Hi, guys. I'm joined here with a good buddy. Y'all know him. Y'all love him, Mr. Todd Spivey. Todd, good morning from Utah, brother.
Good morning, my friend. How's everybody doing?
Light up
Good.
the chat. Let us know how we're doing. I got lots of thumbs up, lots of haze, lots of what's going on. Guys, before I get into my topic, Todd, I'll let you know this. Last night we did like a little sushi night, and I tried doing like the little charcoal grills called the yakitoris. Oh, cool. We're getting pulled up here. And I found out I have a lot of skill sets. Lighting a fire apparently is not one of them. It was absolutely one of the hardest things I think I've ever done was to just light this little charcoal grill. I could get those charcoals to catch for nothing. Then we went and bought charcoal fluid, lit that, let it sit, nothing. I was like, yeah, not meant to me, apparently.
I hope your beautiful bride got this on video because this is like one of those first couple of years being married thing when, back when Andrew couldn't even light a grill to feed the family type scenario.
Yeah, putting food on the table is not part of it. I can put it on the foot on the table. Apparently, I can't cook it.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, buddy, you will get that part down and the best thing about you is you've went hard, you've built a big agency, and I think you could go find a self-starting grill if you need to. So you'll figure this out.
I'll figure it out. Well, my friends, today Todd and I are going to share something with y'all that is very near and dear to our hearts because I think that it really symbolizes the whole point of what we build here. Okay. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple things, ownership. I'm going to talk a little bit about legacy, and we're going to share just some memories and things of one of our really good buddies, Mr. Jimmy Spieldeiner. And I want to kick this off, guys, at saying like one of the greatest things about symmetry that we have here is the fact that we can build something that we legally own. It's willable, it's sellable, and it's transferable. And I'm gonna bring you to a little bit of my life for a moment. From when I got here, when I first had gotten here, I ended up qualifying for this key leader trip out to Asheville. We had a nice little time. Obviously, we learned stuff, but it was my first time meeting Jimmy Spieldenner. And at the time, Jimmy, was a great agent. He had done great production. He didn't start off that way. It took him a good hot minute, I think like 6 to 8 months before he really started even making any money. But at that time, man, he won two back-to-back trips that we do. Sometimes we do a March Madness and a November to Remember. Back then, he won it 3 times overall, produced like 850 something thousand dollars in production. Like just a guy that people were like, man, this guy has figured this thing out. And I remember him pulling me aside because we were all just like talking, and he's like, hey man, whatever you do, he's like, you're young, you'll figure it out. You just got to stay humble and stay locked in with this whole thing. And that was my first interaction with him. My last interaction with him was over here in Phoenix. Jimmy was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer that metastasized throughout his entire body and caught it too late. Doctors gave him 6 months, and he lasted another 3 years. I want to let you
Mm.
guys know that. And I saw those 3 years of him being able to spend every single moment and day, because shortly after he was diagnosed with cancer, he ended up having his little baby girl with his wife, Cynthia. And
Mm.
that little girl has the most amount of energy, is not shy about nothing, and is just this adorable little thing. But I'll let you know, as my last conversation with Jimmy, Todd, we were sitting down at a restaurant called Chop out here in Phoenix because Phoenix has a lot of good cancer programs. And I remember asking him, like, dude, like, how you doing? Like, what's the latest diagnosis? Like, are you all right? He's like, at this point, I woke up today. He's like, it still worked out. He's like, we'll find out how tomorrow is, but it's hard. It doesn't matter. That's not going to change. But he said just to me, he says, Andrew, if there's anything I can recommend to you, he's like, one, get yourself checked all the time. Right. He's like, you're 20 something now, 25 back then, I think. And he's like, just do it anyways. But he said, don't sweat the small stuff.
Mm.
It's like you just don't ever know what's gonna come your way. And sometimes we get so caught up in worrying so much about nothing that he's like it takes away from all the amazing things that are coming in the world.
Mm.
So, my friends, Jimmy left a legacy. And legacy isn't just what you leave for for your friends, your family, your loved ones, which he did that exactly for his family, but it's also what you leave in those people around you, in those people that you got a chance to work with, in those people that you got a chance to impact. And Jimmy went out there and built an agency that is thriving. Last year it did 5.8 million. And I get to watch where Brian Delaney was able to purchase and absorb his agency. Got to it takes care of Jimmy's wife Cynthia and their daughter, because Cynthia doesn't she speaks Portuguese and Spanish, so that's usually how I speak with her, is in Spanish. And then like and now she's better in English and all stuff too. But Delaney makes sure that he takes care of that family. They get a stipend, they get everything because of what we've created, or what, sorry, what Jimmy created and what Symmetry has created, that you can build something that you legally own here. It's willable, sellable, and transferable, that Jimmy's family never has to worry ever again. I see Cintra on her Instagram, the places she gets to go to, the Greece trip she just went on, how she gets to go back to Brazil and take her little daughter to go see the family down there. She brings the people up here. Like it's just there's an opportunity that we really truly get to give to everyone we love, not just with the income and the money, but I'm truly telling you the impact and the opportunity to leave something in them. And so, Todd, I don't know if you have anything to share, but I know that Jimmy had a really special text he sent to Ron Dilbert on his last day.
Yeah, yeah, man. That so you got me choked up. This is early in the morning for me in Utah and having a great time at the Transamerica event and representing Quility. Got to bring my dad, so it's already been kind of a emotional week. But when Andrew reached out and asked if I could join the huddle for a few minutes, the answer was always yes. Let me figure out the agenda and which mornings I can be on. But when he asked me about Wednesday and he said the topic was going to be Jimmy, I've got to tell you, I've already cried twice now thinking about this talk because I'm not sure that I would even be here today and playing golf with my dad for 3 days in a row at some of the most amazing golf courses if it wasn't for Jimmy Spill Dinner. And so a lot of people know my story and they know that I've been best friends with Brandon Ellison, one of the founders of our company, since 1997. And so I've been around this company since its inception. And for the early years, when Brandon and Casey and Pope were struggling to get the company off the ground, they always tried to recruit me to come over. They were always trying to get me to come be a part of Symmetry. But there's only two people that were able to convince me that this was the place where I needed to be and where I needed to build my legacy. And that was Jimmy Spilldinner and Danny Young. And Jimmy's role in this is actually kind of a kind of a tragic situation from the start, but it ends in such beauty. So because Brandon was doing so well in years 2 and 3 of Symmetry, he started to qualify for all these carrier trips. And he would take me on 1 or 2 a year to go with him whenever Meredith couldn't attend. And the very first carrier trip I went on, Jimmy Spilldinner was there. And when I say, Andrew, this was very early Jimmy Spilldinner, this is this is the Jimmy Spilldinner that would have to dial 2 and 3 thousand dials a week in order just to make his minimum production numbers. Because guys, he was that bad on the phone. I mean, he would record himself and we would actually use his recordings to laugh with him and try to coach with him because literally you couldn't make up a better example of what horrible looks like from the jump. And I'm on this trip with him and I don't really know this character, but he's running around the resort. He's got high energy. He's doing spontaneous karaoke. He's out dancing in the middle of 200 people that he doesn't know. And let me just tell you, he's not a dancer. So I'm meeting this individual for the first time, not a part of Symmetry. And I'm watching this individual that I basically think is the life of the party, and not one serious bone lives in this guy's body. And I thought to myself, if he can qualify for this trip, this job must be very easy. This is something I can do. Fast forward 2 years, Hemi, and Brandon invites me back on another trip. And I believe this one was in Hawaii. And I come around the corner of a restaurant, and there's literally a line around the table and back down the hallway. And I thought, Brandon, what's going on over there? Is there somebody famous here? There's a line in the restaurant. He said, oh no. He said, that's Jimmy Spilldinner. And I said, well, what do you mean? You mean that guy I met 2 years ago that was the life of the party? He said, yeah, you should go get in line and go talk to him. And so I did. And I went and watched, and I shook Jimmy's hand, and I watched him over the course of the next 2 to 3 days. And I watched his leadership, and I watched the way he commanded a room, and I watched the way that people would literally line up around his dinner table just to get 2 minutes of wisdom from him, because not only was he dominating the leaderboards, one of the top agents that Symmetry had ever seen, but he had poured so much effort into his personal development, he literally became the one source of energy that everybody in Symmetry wanted to be around. And to me, that is what sold me wanting to be a part of Symmetry through my core. That if you can take an individual that runs around life like his hair is on fire, and within 2 years and personal development and commitment to not quit, despite being so bad at this job that we would record it to make fun of, and then to have that type of turnaround and to see that this place is way more than just selling insurance, I knew I had to be a part of this. Fast forward, Hemi, to a couple of months ago, I'm at an AOA meeting. We're going around the room. We're talking about what is it about Symmetry culture that makes it so special. We always talk about that. The Symmetry culture is so amazing. But finally, we were in an AOA meeting, and I just asked the question to the new AOs. What does it mean to have a special culture? We went through 3 or 4 names and 3 or 4 different stories, and it was time to move on. Y'all know B-Dubs. He's kind of mean when it comes and strict when it comes to staying on schedule. And it was time to go. And Ron Dilbert, if any of you know Ron Dilbert, when Ron Dilbert's got something to say, Ron Dilbert's going to get it out. And I love that about him. But it was time to move on, and he kept raising his hand saying, Mr. Spivey, I need to share one more story. I said, Ron, we gotta go, buddy, but I got a feeling you feel led. This one's going to be important, so make it quick. Ron Dilbert holds up his cell phone and shows the audience of 30 people a text message that he received on the day that Jimmy Spilldinner died. And that text message said, Ron, it's been the pleasure of my life to watch your journey and to see your resolve and how resilient you've battled through everything you've faced. Keep fighting, brother, because I'm going to be watching from heaven. I love you, Jimmy. See, Ron Dilbert's not even in Jimmy Spilldinner's hierarchy. They're not even in the same agency. You see, Ron Dilbert was a struggling agent that was ready to quit and was down on himself at conference. And all he wanted to do at that conference before he went home and quit was to bump into Jimmy Spilldinner and get 2 minutes of his magic. And in that 2 minutes, in the hectic air of conference, when we're all running 1,000,000 miles per hour, and most of the large leaders have lots of people around them that want just 2 minutes of their advice, Jimmy didn't just blow off Ron Dilbert. Jimmy stopped for 5 minutes, turned his complete focus, and said, brother, what can I do to help you? And that started a friendship that, despite Jimmy never making a red nickel off of anything that Ron Dilbert did, Jimmy always would consistently check in and motivate and lift up Ron when Ron had a bad day. So as we sat there in that AOA meeting, I found out what our culture is about. It's about realizing that you have a gift inside of you to brighten somebody else's day and to give them enough hope to make a few more dials where they might just get good at this thing. And I will never forget Ron holding that phone and showing that classroom that text message, and everybody's eyes in the room was crying. That is our culture. That is who Jimmy was. And that's who I challenge you all to try to be like each and every single day. If you do those things, I promise you, the analytics show that you're going to thrive at this business, because if you can connect with people, you can thrive in this business. But I also will tell you that regardless of how your bank account looks, you've just won the game of life, and that's what really matters. Back to you, Andrew.
Appreciate you, brother. And guys, I'm gonna AOs. We're gonna take a few more minutes here for everybody. I'm gonna show you Jimmy's last speech that he did when we did a virtual conference in Knoxville, Tennessee, I believe. Give it a watch, give it a listen. I'll post it in our little AO accountability group chat. They can blast it out in group meetings later. But yeah, his last final speech is something I watch very consistently throughout the year because of just how impactful it is.
Well, how lucky can one person get? Brandon, Casey, and Brian built Quility's simple, duplicatable system to share this wealth of opportunity in this trillion-dollar industry with normal people just like you and I. They built this for anyone who was willing to struggle, learn, work, grow, and succeed, so we would have the opportunity to earn a life-changing income, not overnight, but over time. Build a business, not one that replaces our life, but one that supports our life and creates an opportunity to build a legacy that lasts beyond our years and is written on the hearts of many in the memory of who they were and the reality of who they were able to become. One more dial, one more appointment, one more team building call, one more page read, one more encouraging call. It seems small at the time, but brick by brick, action by action, they changed their life and so many others. What we invest is what we inherit. When we invest fear, we inherit scarcity. When we invest faith with focused effort, we inherit abundance and tap into that supernatural life-changing connection between radical generosity and unshakable fulfillment. So what will be your inheritance? Scarcity or abundance? Trauma or trophies? Living paycheck to paycheck or living a life of complete financial freedom and significance? Don't take my word for it though. We're lucky enough to have my business partner and best friend, Jimmy Spieldenner, here.
Symmetry is the most profitable, quickest, legal system to go from sales agent to business owner, making multiple six-figure income passively, not only in our industry, but I think in any. In that process though, what I realized was that I love the idea of being a leader, but as most do, completely lack the development and understanding of what the act of being a leader truly entailed. I also struggled a bit with the transition from sales leader to business owner because of the instant gratification. In our business, you write today, you get paid today or tomorrow. Plus, I got a little addicted to the recognition on being on the leaderboards every single week. I had a hard realization that when it came to the business development side of our system, I had million-dollar dreams with minimum wage work efforts. Don't do that. But in truth, the more that I developed, the more that I realized how much more I needed to grow. I didn't even really like the person that I was getting to know. How could I expect others to follow me or like me? I worked harder on myself than I even did on my business, discovering that when you develop enough to find the best in yourself, it really makes it easier to find the best in others. See, we've all heard that hurt people and free people, but you can't free people if you're hurt, and we all are in some way, so get your crap right, suckers. Make this a self-discovery journey like the most successful people here have done. When I truly bought into this, not only did the law of attraction start to show up in my business, But I also stopped being affected by some of the small things, like people being mean or rude or negative or nasty. They're hurt people. I feel for them. I implore you all to do what we've done and push for a season so that you can pull for a lifetime. You're worth it. Your family is worth it. I'm gonna talk about death just for a moment, and don't think it's because I'm gloom and doom. I'm not gonna beat their latest prediction for me. But what I've learned through all this is that if I do die, it's not a failure. Death isn't the problem, life is. And what I mean by that is living a life of unfulfilled potential, unmet promises, goals or dreams, living without purpose or without that impact, or not leaving the legacy that you always dreamed that you'd leave. We all say we want it, but are we winning that daily battle with those little decisions that matter to prove to ourselves that we do? Is your deathbed body gonna be proud that you left it all out there? I'm gonna say that again. Is your deathbed body gonna be proud that you left it all out there? Personally, I wanna go out dying of fatigue, not of fear. I hope that you'll join me in this endeavor. Lastly, I'll leave you all with this, and please understand our perspectives, and preferably without your own diagnosis. The more you give, the more you get. Be a giver. Give compliments, give grace, give kind words, give positivity, give empathy, give humility, give support with words and actions, but also financially, even before you think you're ready. Be a giver. What you put out in the universe will multiply and come back to you. But most importantly, right now in this divisive world, we need to give love. Give love to each other. We're in a time where two great people can watch the same thing happen, two agendas collide. They watch the same thing happen and walk away with completely different opinions of what happened. When you're dying from the inside out, politics and negative stuff like that, it's just not the same. It's not important to you. And I'm here to tell you that your business can thrive without paying attention to it. Believe that we are good enough to change the world as we go. These are my wishes for you. Thank you.
That's it. Jim, that's all I got, buddy. Todd, thank you for coming on, man. Love you a ton, dude.
Love you guys. Thanks for having me for this. He's a special human, and just watching that video and thinking and talking about him today, I can guarantee you I will be more motivated to go out and bless somebody else's life and be grateful for the time I get today. Wish you all do the same.
Man, love this. I'm going to go ahead and open